My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the Blanco Lirio channel, and some of you have asked if I would say a few things about the 737 crash in Havana, Cuba. Unfortunately, at this point, it's simply too early to tell much of anything of what happened in Havana. Any discussion beyond the facts of the crash at this point are just purely speculation. However, the black boxes have been recovered, and we will have answers to this crash very quickly. Since a Boeing product was involved, an NTSB investigation will be sent down to Havana to help with the investigation. I'm currently a first officer on the Boeing 777 aircraft for a major airline here in the United States. The facts as we know them so far from the Aviation Herald was that the aircraft was a leased aircraft from Mexico, Global Damojh. Not sure how to pronounce that. It was I believe it was a 1979 model Boeing 737-200 aircraft, formerly flown here in the United States years ago by Piedmont Airlines. The aircraft took off to the east, rolled to the right, and crashed off to the end of the right side of the runway. Current reports seem to indicate 104 folks on board and 9 crew members. So far, 3 survivors have been reported. Now, what we can discuss at this point is some general considerations that are made for every single takeoff on large transportation airliner aircraft. In the case of the Havana crash, there are some eyewitness reports that seem to indicate that perhaps one of the engines were on fire. Again, this is an eyewitness early report and needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Another thing you often hear in these crashes is the pilot flew the airplane to avoid a populated area. Well, if the pilot had control of the airplane to that extent, he would have been able to easily avoid the crash. So take that with a grain of salt as well. The point I want to make is that on every single airline takeoff at every airport with every conceivable load configuration, for the particular load configuration for each flight is engineered to safely depart and climb away if in the event that that aircraft loses an engine immediately on takeoff. I just got back from my recurrent training check ride every 9 months back in the simulator, spending 3 days of training, and must have practiced at least a half a dozen engine failures on takeoff. We practice it to the extent to where it just becomes a second nature reaction to react to the emergency situation. Why? Because that is a very critical phase of flight, low, slow, and heavy, that if in the event that you have a catastrophic failure of an engine at that point, the crew needs to react correctly and quickly in response to the emergency. But if done so, and if done so properly, again, each and every single departure is designed, and that aircraft is designed to climb out safely on the remaining one good engine, fly around the pattern, return, and land. Another issue that can easily cause this sort of a problem is an improper flap setting on departure. Each aircraft is designed with a takeoff warning system that will automatically warn the pilot if in the event the crew has set the wrong flap setting for that particular departure. As soon as you push up the throttles, that takeoff warning system will fire off and alert you if you have the wrong flap setting set, and if that takeoff warning system is working correctly. There are also redundant systems built into checklist procedures and normal procedures working together as a crew to ensure that the proper flap setting is set for each takeoff. Here in the United States, the Federal Aviation Administration ensures aviation safety to the highest level, and around the world, the ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, standardizes aviation to nearly the same level that the FAA requires here in the United States, in some cases even more. However, as you move around from the developed world to the developing portion of the world, these aviation standards do change. So again, any particular discussion of what might have happened to this flight on the 737 departing Havana at this point is just pure speculation, but we'll have answers very soon as NTSB investigators open up those flight data recorders and find out what happened. See you here.